G'day guys, welcome back to the Rugby Show. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to talk about the greatest game in the world, rugby. And Super Rugby Round 1 is upon us, the big derby this weekend. I waited all week to see this match, and boy, it was actually quite good, much better than I was expecting. It was kind of rainy in Brisbane, so I was like, oh my god, let's not have one of those games we saw last year, where everybody didn't know how to catch the ball, and it was just drop balls everywhere. So despite the wet conditions, both teams were able to hold on to the ball. And it was really, really good performance. First up, I thought both teams were quite evenly matched in terms of, evenly matched in every aspect of the game. But the difference between the two teams is not physical, but mental. And I can point out exactly where the Waratahs lost the game. Okay, so just let me refresh this again, because, it's when the Waratahs decided to take a penalty goal 7 minutes into the game. That's when they lost it. Yeah, because mentally, it tells me that the team wants to eke out an easy win, and whilst the game was tight, the teams were kind of going back and forward, but once the Waratahs were in it, right, mentally, physically in it, but once the Reds start putting away the gap, once kicking 3 points became too far out of reach, right? The Waratahs just went straight down a hill. Because they were mentally preparing to win this game with 3 points, right? And when the Reds brought the fight, right? The Reds did not go for the 3 points at any point of the game. Even when they were prime location, they rather not get any points and learn from their mistakes, right? And make sure the next time they executed their set piece, they were able to get the points. They put the pressure on, and they were walked out with 6 tries over the Waratahs 3. Yeah, and that is the difference. It's the mental difference, not physical difference. If you look at how the players were you're playing, both teams were playing pretty similar in terms of style. Neither team had crazy kicking game, like we saw in that first half of the Crusaders versus Chiefs game, where the Chiefs just dominated the kicking game. Neither team had that sort of advantage. Neither team had like crazy game busters, like we saw with Caleb Clark earlier today, playing for the Blues. So neither team had any of those pretty standard stuff, just, rumming with your big forwards, smashing each other, and then try to spread the ball out wide to get the wingers through a little bit of a space. It's pretty simple stuff, but the difference is the mental aspect, right? There was a point you can clearly see the Waratahs just went, oh my god, kicking 3 points, not going to win this game anymore. What do we do? And they just kind of went, threw their hands up and kind of just gave up a little bit, right? Also, I felt like the Waratahs game plan, they had a few areas. I thought the Waratahs had a bit of advantage over the Reds, for example, on the wing. Mark Nwanga looked so big. He is definitely bulking up for his debut for the Roosters next year. In the NRL, in the Rugby League, because he looks absolutely massive, right? I tried to get a screenshot of him. Look at the size of him. Oh my goodness, like I couldn't quite get a good shot of his legs, but his legs just like massive trunks, just huge legs. And you can see him on his upper body clearly bulked up. Just to give you a bit of a comparison, that's him, right? Not that long ago, maybe like 1 or 2 years ago, right? Like that's him. Nwanga Nitawasi for the Waratahs. Pretty sure this is last year, right? Like, for the Wallabies, he bulked up a little bit here. You can see that he's a little bit bigger. He's a little bit bigger for the Wallabies here, but still, man, like he was absolutely huge on the field. And I thought like the Waratahs really probably lost, really missed a bit of opportunity here to use him because, like I said, in the second half, when kicking 3 points was no longer an option for the Waratahs to win the game anymore. They should have figured out something that had to bring Nwanga Nitawasi into the game, because every time he had the ball, he was threatening. He was mostly being left back at the fullback position, essentially covering the fullback position, and just like kicking the ball back essentially, and not really having anything to do, like very little to do with the attack. When he was on the attack, he was proficient, but in the second half, especially late in the second half, I don't think he touched the ball in the last 25 minutes, maybe even longer than that. So like in the championship rounds where your big your literal big guys on the field needs to step up. He literally didn't touch the ball in those rounds, and I think that comes down to like the strategy the Waratahs are playing needs to be kind of like rethink about a little bit as well. And then, so yeah, I'm really pleased to see that the Reds really got that out of the system, like not taking 3 points every time there's an opportunity presented to them, clamoring for points, and they're just really stuck to the guns. Learn from the mistakes. If they didn't get the try, they went for the they learned from the mistakes. And the next time they went again, and then they just kept the pressure on, and eventually the Waratahs just folded. And eventually they learned that they set piece. They were able to tidy that up, get that the next time they went for it much more better than the one before. And you can see that the team's just constantly trying to get better, constantly trying to play the game of rugby instead of taking the easy way out with the 3 points and make themselves feel better about their own little egos, right? And that sort of stuff is yeah, I'm really pleased about that. So that really put a big smile on my face to see that from the Reds, because that's something that I've been asking for like quite a long time. I really want like all Australian teams to just do this, to just stop kicking for goals, because in the long run you're gonna win more games and you're gonna win more fans, right? The Suncorp Stadium here today was pretty empty for a derby game, first match of the season. You would expect a much better turnout. I mean, it was like a bit rainy, maybe that's why. But still, like you should have expected a bit more turnout. I mean, obviously, the rugby hasn't been that great in Australia these years. But I don't. It's just playing games like this is gonna win the fans back, and I really appreciate what the Reds, the new coach, what's his name, Mr. Kiss, Les Kiss has brought into the game, into the fold, right? And with that being said, let's have a look at some of the areas of the game. I also felt that the Tate McDermott is really shaping up to be someone really going to be good. The Reds had this, so obviously they've got not Louis Liner, what's his name? Louis Liner's older brother. Tom Liner at 10, right? Last year, Tom Liner was at 10. They had James O'Connor at 12, kind of like, holding his hands a little bit. And whenever James O'Connor's on the field, the 10, 12, the game looked more controlled for the Reds. But this year, obviously, James O'Connor's injured again. And Tate McDermott, has essentially stepped up with a lot of that decision-making around the attacking. And and it's really making that look good. And it's taking a lot of that load out of Tom Liner. And at some point, I feel like Tate McDermott could become the next, to be like the Aussie version of Anton Dupont. Obviously, the kicking game isn't there yet. Like, there's no kicking game out of McDermott. But just in terms of the way that he just directs the traffic, picking out the players that he wants to run the ball, just to keep that, riven speed up with the game. He could potentially get there one day. Like, he's definitely got the talent, and he's got that, that urgency, they got the speed. And I don't know if he's going to get that with the kicking game, because Anton Dupont's kicking game is quite the next level. But in terms of just being able to play as like a playmaker out of the 9 position, really impressive. I thought he managed game really well. Really took a lot of that load out of Tom Liner's hand, giving him more time and space to work with what he wanted to do. With the backline setup. So that's another positive thing I saw from the Reds. And overall, let's have a look at the match stats. 6 tries to 3. Always this it's 6 tries, not 7. 6 tries to 3. There was a penalty try against Jorgensen. A little bit unlucky. He tackled Jordi Patea just before Jordi Patea grabbed the ball in a bit of a grabber kick, and he was deemed early tackle by the referee, and the penalty try was issued, and he got a yellow card for that. So there was a penalty try, but only 6. But whenever there's a penalty try, they count twice for some reason in the website. It doesn't matter. 6 tries to 7, 6 tries to 3, 422 run meters for the Reds, 320 for the Waratahs. 14 turnovers conceded against the Reds, 11 against the Waratahs. Only 90 tackles needs to be made by the Reds. 8 missed tackles, extremely good missed tackles here on the Waratahs. 144 tackles made, 17 missed tackles. Kicks in play, 22 for the Reds, 23 against the Waratahs. Quite contained kicking game for both teams. There was one really amazing kick by Jordi Patea where the ball was going out for a 50-22. He just ran up and just kicked the ball on the fly. straight down the field like 50 meters, and it was just like a beautiful kick, like a soccer kick, right? He didn't even touch the ball with his hands, and saved the 50-22 for the Reds. And the lineouts was pretty scrappy for both teams. I thought maybe the wet conditions something to do with it, but yeah, it was a little bit 50-50 at times. The Reds lost 3 lineouts. Sorry, the Waratahs lost 3 lineouts. The Reds lost 1. The scrummaging, the big man, Angus Bell was doing a lot of work this game for the Waratahs, and there was the Waratahs definitely had an advantage in the scrummaging just for what Angus Bell brought to the game. There was one scrum lost against the Waratahs. It's one of those. I think it was just one of the technical things. Waratahs were they had a penalty, and they felt like they could have squeezed out like a penalty try or something, maybe a little bit too eager, and went for that scrum instead of kicking for the sideline, and then that scrum resulted in a turnover to the Reds, and that was I think that was the one, but yeah, that definitely overextended, but overall the Waratahs definitely had that front foot dominance in the scrummaging. Penalties conceded 4 against the Reds, 9 against the Waratahs, 1 yellow card for that. Like I said, I think that was more than one, right? That was what's going on? Like these stats, man. I don't know why they. So 8 against the Reds, 10 against the Waratahs, 1 yellow card for the early tackle. I thought there was 1 yellow card for the early tackle by Jorgensen. But overall, I thought the discipline is much better for both teams, something that has plagued in Australian teams for the last couple of years now. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the key moments of the game. 8 minutes of the game, I literally wrote in my notes, Waratahs taking for 3. Ha ha ha, probably going to lose. 8 minutes into the game, and that, exactly what happened. Like I said, if you come out to the game when your game plan is to win by 3, when the game goes out of reach, once the game goes out of reach for 3 points, then you're pretty much done, right? And you can tell there was literally maybe one, there was a try. Yeah, anyway, there was one try as well. That was kind of like a soft try against the Reds. So even with if you take that try out, the Waratahs would have been an even bigger deficit than that. 10 minutes into the game, the Reds had a penalty for them. They're like, no, we're not going for 3. We're gonna go for we're gonna play some rugby. They kicked the ball out for 5 meter line out. They go for the maul. The maul was stopped, but the Reds just kept on going with the big carries. Eventually, the ball went out to Hunter Paisami. He had 2 defenders in front of him. Paisami just, put the leg drive down and pumped those legs and just, rammed himself through for the first try for the Reds. 7 points to 3, just like that. And the important part is the fact that the maul didn't work. The Reds kind of adjusted later in the game, which resulted in, a more try later on for the Reds. So, that's the thing. Once you test your opponent, you will know next time around what you need to do to succeed, right? If you don't test your opponent, you just take the 3, right? When it comes to time that you need to score, try to win the game, you go for the line out, you go for the maul, you have no idea what you're going to be facing, right? You could just literally lose the maul immediately, right? And then that's the thing, this maul didn't work, but the Reds got the information that they needed to set themselves up later in the game as well. 27 minutes into the game, the Reds put on a lot of sustained pressure on the Waratahs, and they had I think there was a penalty. They went for the maul, and exactly like I said, the maul got really close, but they just peeled off and just followed that a bit of momentum, bumped over for the try, 14 points to 10. They learned that, they found out the Waratahs defense weakness from the maul, basically rolled the maul a little bit and then just peeled off. And 14 points to 10 for the Reds. And then that first attempt of the maul paid off in the second. In fact, it paid off multiple times in this game as well. The scrummaging was, really, really massive against between 2 Wallabies as well. Like I said, Angus Bell in the loser side against Zan Nongor for the Red side. Bell definitely had a bit of advantage over Nongor. But it's just, really good to see 2 big men going head-to-head against each other. There was so it's 36 minutes of the game. There was a kind of a soft try for the Reds. The Waratahs were building some pressure inside the Reds 22. They spread the ball out wide, and Jordy Pataya rushed up to try to shut down the Jorgensen, and he slipped. And Jorgensen just ran through him, and there was a bit of an overlap. All Jorgensen had to do is draw and pass, and then Dylan Peach goes in for the what? This was the for the. Oh wait. Sorry. Let's go back a little bit. So on 17 minutes there was a first try for the Waratahs. It was a very soft try. The McDermott threw a pass and it was intercepted by Nwangani Tawasi, who ran through and linked up with Jake Gordon for the Waratahs first try. And then we had that sustained pressure from the Reds for the more try. And then the second try for the Waratahs, 36 minutes in, is the one where like I said, Jordan Pataya tried to rush defense, slipped over, Jorgensen ran through him, essentially creating an overlap for Peach to go into the corner. 14 points to 15. So that's two kind of soft tries already. First one was an intercept. Second one was a slip. So that's two tries for Waratahs that probably shouldn't have happened for the Reds. And finally, just before halftime, the Reds literally fought back immediately following this try. They just spread the ball out wide to Suliasi Vinivalu, someone I didn't know that can kick, but I was really glad that he showed up, that he's been improving his game. He was running down the wing, just chipped the ball infield, like little grubber kick back infield, and it was a foot race between Jordy Pataya and Jorgensen, Max Jorgensen, and then Jorgensen tackled Pataya just before Pataya touched the ball, and referee said it was a penalty try. So 21 points to 15 and a yellow card to Jorgensen going into halftime. Second half, the game starts. 46 minutes into the game, the Reds had obviously a play advantage. They had an opportunity to kick for three. Normally, last season, we would have seen the Reds kick for three at this point because they are quite, far ahead, 21 points to 15. Just keeping that, if they kick this 3 points, then the Waratahs have to score twice to win the game, right? That's the mentality that the Reds used to have. No, that's just going out of the system. They wanted to just keep pressuring the advantage. There was, especially when a time like this with a yellow card. Even the commentators were predicting that the Reds was going to take the three, which the Reds didn't. I was really glad that they didn't take the advice from the commentary team. But yeah, this was a really, really good sign. The Reds went for the 3 points. They had they go for the try. It was held up by Angus Spell. But that's fine because they went. The key here is they apply pressure. Even though they didn't get the try, they were persistent in their attempt. And again, there was another penalty following this. The Reds again didn't go for three right in front of the goalpost. Liner kind of like faked to kick the ball out and did a quick tap and run. They didn't. Once again, they didn't quite get there. Mark Nwangani Tawasi actually turned the ball over for the Waratahs to defuse the situation, and then finally. 51 minutes, the Waratahs get their play back to the field. You think that, the Waratahs can breathe a sigh of relief. It's now 15 against 15 again on the field. Reds went, nah, it's not over until we say it's over. They get another penalty. They go for the corner again. And this time, the rolling more worked like a charm. They just, more straight through and he rolled. Fezler saw the line in front of him, just peeled off and just barged over for the fourth try, Fazler, for the fourth try for the Reds, 26 points to 15. And then after this, there was a 55 minutes into the game. Again, the pressure from the Reds just continued to build. There was a knock on by Waratahs. The Reds retained kind of like scooped up the ball. I think it was Sevu Uru immediately decided to punt the ball down the field, and he saw the gap because the Waratahs were in the attack. The defenders hasn't been able to go back to cover the kick. So he immediately punted the ball down the field and went for the 50-22. Mark Nwangani Tawasi got there to stop the ball from going out. So he padded the ball back in field, and the ball was like rolling towards the try line, where Max Jorgensen scooped it up, and then the Reds, attackers rushed up to Jorgensen, tackled him in goal. 5-minute scrum for the Reds. Reds gets the scrum. It was just beautifully executed. The scrum wheeled with the towards the open side, so the number 8 had his butt basically pointing at the blind side, and Harry Wilson grabbed the ball, the number 8, and just like flicked the ball between his legs to McDermott, who's on the blind side, wide open space, runs into the corner. Just beautifully executed from that scrum. 33 points to 15 to the Reds. 60 minutes into the game, again, pretty soft, like a return try for the Reds. Felt like almost like they fell asleep a little bit. Something that also an issue that Reds kind of need to get out of the system, especially when they're against the New Zealand teams. Just like massive defensive misreads. Vinivalu was out of position a little bit. There was, just like the ball just got passed down to the sideline to Dylan Peach, who just had a break down the sideline. And then Dylan Peach tried to throw the ball back in field to his inside supporter. Hunter Paisami was there, tried to intercept the ball. He couldn't quite get the intercept. So he kind of hit the ball back to Dylan Peach, who passed the ball in the first place. So Dylan Peach just got the ball back. It's all right. And then just ran straight through. And this kind of just got the sweeping defender saw Dylan Peach pass the ball, kind of turn around to cover the inside. I just left Dylan Peach wide open again on the outside. Again, just completely out of nowhere. Dylan Peach got a try assist from Hunter Paisami of the opposition, who plays for the opposition, to score this one. So 60 minutes, score ticks up to 33 points to 22, and then finally on 64 minutes into the game, there was a again, the Reds was just, and Waratahs were just rumbling midfield. Josh Fluke got the ball midfield, just wiggled himself through a little bit of a gap, and then just easier. So he ran through the gap and then just linked up with Fraser McRae, who was in a perfect support line on his outside, and then just ran through untouched under the post for the Reds to tick the scoreboard up 40 points to 22, and that's how they ended. So yeah, the Waratahs, again, in terms of the physicality, in terms of the talent that was on the field, definitely had enough to beat the Reds. But I just think that the mentality, the let's take 3 points and try to, milk a win, that mentality needs to go for the Waratahs if they want to have any sort of success going into the future. And something that I'm really, really glad that the Reds has gone out of the system. So yeah, this game, I wanted to do a rating for the game. So I give the Reds performance for this game 7.5 out of 10. And I give the Waratahs 4.5. Yeah, unfortunately, they only performed probably about half, 50, 40 minutes of the game. And if you really think about the Waratahs tries, right, they're all kind of flukish tries, intercepts and, Reds' own mistakes sort of thing that resulted in the tries. So really, if it wasn't for those flukish stuff, the scoreboard would have been a lot worse. Whereas the Reds clearly had a strategy, had a game plan, had set piece nailed down, getting the tries. That they had a plan of how they want to score the tries, and they got the tries scored the way that they wanted, which is a massive difference from the Waratahs' flukish sort of tries. So yeah, I wasn't very impressed by the performance by the Waratahs. I thought the Reds was much better. So overall, this game is probably a 6 out of 10. The Waratahs could have done a bit better to make this game a 7 or an 8. But the Reds 7.5 overall performance, and Waratahs 4 out of 10. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your ratings for the game. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys a bit later tonight for the Six Nations review. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.